Okay, so on day 2, we're going to start talking about volume and surface area, and we're going to talk specifically about prisms and cylinders. And you really need to have 2 colors today, either colored pencils or highlighters or something, because this will really make everything easier for you. So we're going to start off and just talk about the parts of prisms and cylinders. And we already kind of touched base on this on day 1 during part of those videos. Prisms have 2 bases, and the bases are parallel to each other. And they're named for their base. So this is a triangular prism, a rectangular prism, a hexagonal prism, and then this is a cylinder. And what I want to point out is the bases are the ones that are different shapes, and the 2 bases are parallel to each other in all of these. And all the other sides, which we call lateral sides, all the lateral sides are rectangles. So these are each rectangles here. These going around are rectangles. These going around are rectangles. So the rectangles are the lateral sides, and then the other shapes are the bases. On a cylinder, the 2 bases are circles, and the lateral side is this round part here. Now, the thing that makes this important and why we're talking about it is on each one of these, what I want you to do is highlight one of the bases. And they're labeled on here already for you. And I do want to point out that base is not the bottom. On these 2, the base is not the bottom, but the base is the one where there's 2 that are parallel to each other. And even on the rectangular one, sometimes it's just convenient to make the base one of the other sides, not necessarily the bottom part. And then in each one of these, the height that we're going to use for our formulas is always perpendicular to the base. So this is why I wanted you to have 2 colors. So here's the base and here's the height. If the base is this end, this is the height here. If this is the base, this is the height here. And if this is the base, this is the height here. Notice that the height is not on the side that's the base. It's always perpendicular to the base. And that's really important. If you go ahead and mark these every time on our pictures ahead of time, then it's easier to do the formulas. Now the formulas, we're just going to take the formulas right off of our green formula chart. So we're looking at prisms here and cylinders, and then down here volume, prisms, and cylinders. So we're just going to copy these right off of here onto the little table I made on the notes for you. So the prisms, the lateral area is perimeter times height, and the total area for the prism is perimeter times height plus 2b, and the volume is base times height. And the cylinder is 2 pi RH, 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared, and the volume is base times height. Now, P in this formula here, the P's here stand for perimeter. And it's the perimeter of the base. That's why we marked them up here, so we can find it's the perimeter of the base that we marked. Here on this one, the perimeter is, or the lateral area is perimeter times height. Well, 2 pi R, that's circumference. That's the same thing as the perimeter of a circle. Big B, and I always call this big B here, is the area of the base. It's used in these formulas right here. Big B is the area of the base. So once again, I'm just looking for these 2. It's just talking about the yellow part that I highlighted is just the base. And then H is the height of prism cylinder. It's the one I marked in pink on mine. And that's why we always want to mark it so it's not confusing on which one we're talking about. So let's do some practice problems like this. So on the practice problems, I've laid out places for you to basically put all of those in between values. This helps you organize your work, and it'll also make it easier for you to find mistakes if you get something wrong, because there's a lot of little pieces in here. Again, I want you to start by highlighting or coloring the base. On here, we're going to make the base the bottom, and on here, I'm going to make the base is the pentagon. There's no choice on this one. And in each case, we also need to find the height. Well, here's the height on this one. Notice it's perpendicular to the base. And here's the height of this one, perpendicular to the base. So I'm going to go ahead and write the heights down. The height here is 3, and the height there, it's 8. Now, other than where the H is, that's the only place that I use this height part. Now I'm just looking at the yellow part. So the H comes from the pink one, and the P and the B are the perimeter and the area of the base. So on here, the base is a rectangle. So the perimeter is if I add up the perimeter of this rectangle. So this is 4 plus 10 plus 4 plus 10. So that's 28. The base is the area of the base, the area of this. The area of a rectangle is length times width. So that's 4 times 10 is 40. That's honestly the hardest part about these problems. Once you get past that, you're going to have your formula chart, and it's just plugging these into the formulas we wrote down up here. Lateral area is PH. Well, I found the P is 28, and I found the H is 3, so I just plug those in and then plug them into my calculator, and I get 84. Lateral area is always, just like area, it's going to be yards squared, square yards. Up here, this is also yards squared, and yards, and yards. Surface area is the lateral area. The lateral area is the area of the parts that are not the base, plus the two bases. So it's PH plus 2B. So this is 28 times 3, just like I had there, plus 2 times B. B was 40, so I plug it in. Plug this all into my calculator just like this, and I get 164. Then volume is big B times H. Big B is 40. H is 3. So that's 120, and volume is in yards cubed. So as I said a minute ago, once you get this top part, like this is the part that you can really mess up. Once you get past this part, it's literally just plug into the formulas that we wrote up there, and you have all of those on your green formula charts. Okay, the next one, this is a pentagon. So when I find the perimeter, I know this side of the pentagon is 14. So if all the sides are 14, how do I find the perimeter? Well, I do 14 times 5 is 70 centimeters. And then what's the formula for this? Well, the formula for any regular polygon is 1/2 AP. 1/2 times the apothem, that's 6, times the perimeter, that's 70, and then just plug it in your calculator, and that gets us big B is 210 centimeters squared. Once I have this part here, now I'm just ready to plug them back into the same formulas. This is PH, PH plus 2B and BH. Perimeter is 70 times 8. 70 times 8 is 560. Oops. Centimeters squared. 70 times 8 plus 2B is 210 is 980. And finally, BH. B is 210, H is 8. Multiply that on your calculator and you get 1680 centimeters cubed.